Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
We're online.
All systems go!
And in your face. You are listening to the golden microphones of the IMC radio.
You
News,
are listening.
Opinions, and your calls.
To them golden microphones.
You gotta see that big picture.
Sometimes you stop the machine and you realize, whoa.
You know, you have to have some foresight and think about what kind of an effect is that going to have on air travel.
How important is aviation to
Oh, what a question is that? How important is aviation to you? Hey, folks, well, welcome back to the IMC Club Plane Talk. Long time no on air. There's been a whole mess of, a whole lot of shaking going on. We've had a lot of very unique experiences happening here in the home port here of Martha's Vineyard Airport, where I call myself the proud owner of a Cherokee who lost some landing gear a couple of months ago. Yeah, that's true. One of the few, one of the raging few. Yeah, let's just start with an update. I left off on the earlier podcast with my buddy Joe, who was in the aircraft with me when we lost our landing gear on the starboard side. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. We don't know if it was a carter pin, castellated nut, or a bolt, but underneath the boot, you can't really tell what's going on under there, the fairings, and, well, let's just say I took off, and the gear stayed on the ground. That's right, the gear on the right side. We went out there, did work. It was very gusty. Gusting, it was blowing in the almost 17, 18, and gusting in the mid-20s. And what we thought was a gust when we took off was actually losing about 40 pounds of gear on one side of the aircraft. And we did maneuvers, and long story short, I came to land, and just as I went over the numbers, 72 said, "Hey, Tower, you ever find the owner of that landing gear?" And I did a 50-foot. That's right. You heard right. Secret word for tonight is 50-foot landing with the
short field landing.
Oh, as I told my buddy, I go, I thought I had a flat. I said, we're going to make the world's shortest landing. And I did. Real nose high, real wing low, came down, feathered it, never really touched the wheel, never felt the wheel come down, never felt the sponson or the post making contact. Just heard a very gentle and then louder scraping noise along the asphalt. So anyway, we're fixed. We're fixed.
For those of you who didn't recognize my Polish accent here.
Oh, Radek Wyszkowski.
This is from beautiful Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yes,
Hey.
I'm Radek Wyszkowski here.
Hey, Rad. It's Radek. It's great to see you again. Yeah, you've been roaming gnome. You've been all over the place. How's IMC Club doing? He says, knowing.
Oh, IMC Club is doing fine. Actually, IMC Club is almost on autopilot, at cruising altitude of flight level. Let's make it
kick ass.
What when they do it. We don't want to go too high because we are still without oxygen, but
flight level kick ass.
VMC Club is actually rolling out very nicely.
Oh,
that
big
is
surprise.
what I'm concentrating on.
Big surprise.
And by the way, today I did have a little demo meeting on the VMC Club. We had, I was showing to our group, number of people showing up. They wanted to discover VMC Club.
Okay.
And we were discussing, guess what? Scenario based on actual submission of pilot who lost his gear on takeoff.
I'm flattered. How'd that go?
To make it more interesting, though, I will let everybody on a little secret. We did adjust the scenario slightly since you already said, where you are, and that was you, but we actually moved it to Block Island, and we made it a little bit more interesting. So, but still concept is the same. Gear stays on the runway.
It was interesting enough. I don't know what more you threw in there, but folks, I got to tell you, my insurance guy, first of all, the FAA were awesome. They really were. They were awesome. I mean, the first thing, the guy picked up the phone and I told him what happened. He goes, "What?" I mean,
that's pretty much what everybody's saying when we play that scenario.
What? You really? I'm like, yeah. So he was great. The insurance company was great. And like I said, it's flying again. Well, I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Thank you very much. You know, when we spoke of it last, you said, hey, that's not bad a subject for the
Yeah, and you said it, and you gave me permission, so sorry.
I did. You owe me, pal.
I even went further, Howie. We made IMC scenario out of it. Because what if you were flying in IMC conditions? What if you just took off in solid soup in the same situation? So, you know, anything is possible.
Well,
that's what IMC and VMC Club is all about. We are discussing those possibilities.
I'm sitting here nodding my head profusely, and I've just got involved with Janice Air, a friend of mine, a new friend. It's got a small charter company, and so I'm sitting right seat and going through training for my instrument and commercials. So that's a wonderful thing there. And sure enough, we were talking about exactly that, because the other day it was. You know, it had to be, I don't know, you couldn't see 50 feet. You know, it's New England in the summer. Dew point and temp, you know, a point or two apart. And sure enough, JetBlue...
Yeah, they don't only merge, they actually go to opposite sides, right?
You know, it kind of feels that way, that's for sure. And we're watching JetBlue, you know, take off. I mean, you can't even see it get to the end of the runway. And we're you know... Somebody turned to me and said something.
Wait a second. You just said we're watching JetBlue, but we cannot see him.
That's right. Well, we were watching them pull away from the terminal. That far we got. And the question was, you know, gee, well, you know, what happens if they lose their gear? Anyway, yeah. So enough about me. How about you? What do you think about me?
I'm sure they have more than one pin there.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. You think? Anyway. You know, the thing is right now, this airport is getting a lot of renovations, a lot of federal support, and there's, you know, a lot of growth. We're a gateway airport, and there's good reasons, you know, for things to be kept up. But there's a lot of debate and discussion over who should run these airports. And, you know, right now the Fed's, you know, doing all that, and there's a lot of discussion about getting J.C. Penney to run airports or something like that. Wasn't Walmart or
yeah, kind of.
So,
almost.
So what's the take on this modernization, not privatization?
You know, our position, and pretty much every single pilot I talked to for last 3 days, they feel that our airspace, it's not for sale. And that's pretty much what privatization is going to be. And when that happens, it's going to be heavily influenced by large airlines. So they are going to control it, and they are going to design it to favor their operations. Because let's face it, if you have, you know, 737, 747, whatever it's out there, we can go even higher. You know, full of passengers paying $500-$600 a piece, and if they have to pay $100 landing fee to get in the system, you know, the instrument fee, if you will, that's not a big deal. But can you imagine that $100 fee, or even maybe reduced $50 fee that you have to pay every single time you fly an instrument approach?
Hell no.
What do you feel about this?
Well, it feels like Europe.
Yeah.
Horrible. I mean, no. Go ahead. I mean,
and also, you know, the other, which is my personal view, I actually wrote in our recent IMC Advisor, I wrote an article which is titled, "It was going to be about strawberries," because I was going to write an article about strawberries and how they relate to aviation, but I'm not going to tell you what it is going to be about. I like to keep people in suspension there. But I actually had to write about this ATC privatization. So in my opinion, it's an issue of A, national security, and B, my freedom. Because airspace belongs to us, right?
God, I hope so.
So if it belongs to us, then the only way to control it is through your representation, meaning your government. And if it is going to be outsourced to private corporations, suddenly private ownership controls something that's supposed to belong to the population. And I have a problem with it. And I have a big problem with it.
So fundamentally, the loss of ownership by the public. It's simple.
Yes.
It's not who
because, it's going
it.
to be restricted. There are some people, when you go on the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter, there is some trolling going on, actually. They say, just, either pay your way through or, get out of the airspace. Excuse me. If somebody is going to tell you when you get out of your house and you want to walk on a sidewalk of your street, if suddenly they say it's going to cost you $50 every time you go there.
Oh, hell.
And then, they will say, if you don't like it, then just don't get out of the house. No, excuse me, but as long as we are a free society, I'm not going to be restricted by, I can afford it, but that's not the point.
That's not the point. Very
That's
good.
not the point. I
Well said.
want to be restricted by whether it's $20, $5, or $100. It's in a restriction. So, if you go on paved highway, you have an option to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Here you don't, because that is your airspace.
Well,
it's everywhere.
Fundamentally, you had me at hello, and I have to tell you, if you go to the EAA website, and there's a whole big article, EAA engaged in fight against ATC privatization. So for more details, you can look at it there. But the reality
and there are
is,
also, if I could quickly mention here, there are also links that are extremely automated. I mean, they are great. So basically, when you click on it, you put in your zip code, it will find your local representation there.
Your state representative.
Your senators, yes, and your congressmen, and it will not only give you pre-printed, pre-designed, I should say, letter that you can email to them automatically. You can make changes as you wish, or you can leave it the way it is. And you sign your name to it, you click, and it goes to them. And we want to flood those people with those emails. And at the same time, next step is going to be the phone number.
I was going to say
to them.
Yep. Make a call.
Kind of, points what potentially you can say if you need help with it. I know what to say.
All you need to do, and I did this for another issue just the other day, calling my state representative, and all you need to do is tell them I'm a constituent and I live in this county, and I am totally against ATC privatization. And they'll say, well, thank you. I'll make sure the state representative is aware of this. Thank you very much. That's all you need to say.
And then
it's a tick mark. But it's in numbers. It's the numbers of us that make the difference. That's right.
Exactly. If it's enough, then hopefully we can.
If you're in the range of my voice, if you're in the range of our voice, please do exactly that. Go on the EAA website and click on the Modernize, Not Privatized logo, and there you'll get clicked through to the information. But no, that's critical. It really is. I mean, looking at what happened in Europe, and looking at could you imagine paying fees every time you land in a touch and go situation? Well, maybe we're not talking about that. You're talking about instrument landings in that case. But
the rest will follow. It's like
it doesn't get better, right? It gets worse.
This famous mass spike in our neighborhood, right? When it was built, I think the total fee was like less than $1 for an entire ride, and it was designed to recover cost of the project, and then it's supposed to be eliminated once the funds were raised.
The tools of the turnpike?
Yeah, and it's already past that for
please.
years, and it's already
please.
like 5 times what it was then, and nobody's talking about eliminating it.
Of course not.
So once you allow them to do it, then they will only go further, and people, some people don't realize it. That some genius will come up with a speed pass for airplanes, and so it's easier. So you would just doing those approaches, and every single time, click $20, click $20.
Yeah. Well, yep, that'll happen. Yeah, I used to fantasize about earning the income for the New Jersey Parkway. One toll booth, one day. That'd make me happy. And I used to compete with my friends to drive through the toll booth. Who could drive through the toll booth the fastest and still make the quarter in the basket? And I'm telling you, folks, when you're doing it and you're going through doing 50 or 60, and you got to throw it backwards. I swear I've done it once or twice, but who the hell knows? I don't remember. I was drinking while I was back when I was 17.
Okay, let's not go there.
Back when I was 17. And that's coming from a guy that runs a drug program now, so geez, what can I tell you? So, Oshkosh, what's the weather like? I heard the winds were a-blowing yesterday morning. Or was it this morning? It's this morning.
Weather was beautiful on Monday. And it was actually funny because on Monday I had presentation about IMC Club. So weather, of course, was VMC. This morning I was talking about VMC clubs, and weather was IMC.
Of course.
And also interesting thing, on Monday I have my presentation there, and we have 2 projectors, 2 very large screens in our Tech Talk theater. And, I do my usual thing, and I say, okay, so what if this? What if that? And I say, what if your radio fails? And right at the moment, sparks are coming out one of the projectors, and it goes dark. People thought it was pre-planned.
Oh, no, really? That actually happened?
Yes, that actually happened.
Okay.
So we had to move everybody in front of the other screen, and that's where we finished. And I said, hey, redundancy, aviation, that's how we operate.
I'm going to tell you, if that wasn't the topic for Sparks in the Cockpit, I don't know what was.
Yeah, exactly. So this morning when I was talking about VMC Club, rain was suddenly, I heard lightning, actually thunder rather, and rain was coming down so hard that people couldn't hear me, even though I would have, very good Bose sound system.
Wow, that must have been amazing. It's 2017. In 2014, I was at Oshkosh, and there was on Friday, late Friday at the end of the day, Sean Tucker was performing, and there was this microburst came in, and Sean hung on the prop right at the flight line, and the announcer continued to talk. Now everybody ran for cover because it was coming down buckets. Sean stayed in the air, and as he was talking, and afterwards he said it was safer for him to be in the air than anywhere else. That kind of performance, that kind of aircraft, because if he tried to land it or go somewhere else, it would have been, who knows, with microbursts and everything else like that. That was weird. I actually saw that with my own 2 eyes.
Wow.
But that was weird. But I'm glad that everything turned, safe, and you still got
I don't know if you've noticed that all thunderstorms during AirVenture are on Wednesdays.
I have. It's by
They're
contract.
Always on Wednesdays, yeah.
I think it has something to. It's by contract, and I don't know which competing organization makes it happen, but they sort of, it's nice because it washes down the grounds. Camp Scholler takes a bath. Everybody's plane gets washed, and everything. We look good for Friday. Yeah, I like that.
We got this text warning that severe thunderstorm approaching.
I got that.
And it said, please text stop.
To stop getting.
And I'm thinking, okay, if I text
stop,
is it going to stop the thunderstorm? Or?
That's great. If enough of us text stop. Yeah, okay. That ain't working. Very cool. It's funny. I'm looking at you on Skype, and you're staying in a house, which is awfully nice. I stayed in the dorms my first year, and the dorms are made out of brick. The Wisconsin winters, I'm sure, the heat is, all the way up, and when you get the bricks warm, they stay warm, right? Well, in the summer when the bricks get hot, they stay hot. Oh my God! Everybody in the dorm, I think the local Sears or whatever, they ran out of fans because we all bought little fans, and it was so hot. I bought beach towels, soaked them, and laid them in the bed, and I laid on the hot towels. Anyway, that was Oshkosh way back 7 years ago. So I'm glad that things cleared up. Yep.
And speaking of sweating, I was sweating in our Canadian tent.
Let's bienvenue.
Today.
Let's talk about our Canadian friends. The Great White North.
I was literally sweating because they have a tent and there's no air conditioning. So I did have a presentation about IMC and VMC clubs, and I did tell them what I want to do. There are 11 EA chapters in Canada. 2 of them are associated with IMC Club, or the other way around. Mm-hmm. And from this point on until the end of the year, my goal is to hit every single EAA chapter in Canada, and they are going to have either IMC Club or VMC Club. That's my goal.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So after this presentation, I already had 2 stepping forward. They want to do it. I told them that I would be more than happy to visit each one of them for the first meeting. And guess what? One of them told me.
I can't begin to guess.
He said, "I really want to do it, but can you not come over?" I said, "Wait a second. You're the first one who told me not to visit."
Damn, you ugly. You ugly, son. Damn. We don't want to see you in Canada.
But he said, "I can do it myself." Hey,
okay.
That's what we call confidence, and I love it. Actually,
knock yourself out.
Better yet, absolutely.
Hey, so, I know that, you've been doing a lot of travel, and EAA has supplied you with a Cirrus jet, and you're flying around single-seat Cirrus jet?
No, actually it was going to be
the Honda
Boeing
jet.
727, but it's not really modernized yet.
Not yet.
I kind of, I requested very special paint job on it, and it's not finished.
Hell, a 1X would have done great.
Of course not. No, but honestly, it is easier. I should say, unfortunately, it is easier to fly commercial on those trips because there would have to be a lot of diverting.
No, you're all over the country. You're zigging
to be there, and then suddenly you are somewhere else, and there is meeting already advertised. 50 people showing up, and I'm somewhere behind the line of thunderstorms. So it's not. But new addition. Speaking of thunderstorms, we have this great new addition to our Pilot Proficiency Center. You would love it. It's called Wild.
Wild?
It's weather. God, I forgot the thing. See, I told you I'm tired here. But basically, it's a weather latency in cockpit, something of the demonstrator, something like this. But what they do, they have a nice sim with 3 screens there and all the controls. The weather on that sim is so realistic, it's unbelievable. But they put you in a cockpit.
Is this on the Redbird?
You have no, that's done by a project called Pegasus. It's a joint project between FAA and university. God, I should be prepared more for those when I'm going to talk about this, but it's one of the universities there.
Okay.
But they basically work together. But what it does is they put you in a cockpit, and they give you your Doppler weather radar
Okay.
there. So you have the regular reception like XM, weather on it, like most of people have now these days. And they ask you to work yourself in between those thunderstorms based on the picture that you have in a cockpit, like most people would try to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and it's real weather, actually, they download historical weather. So it's actual weather there. And at the same time, at some point, they show you on another screen the actual weather that is there. So as you look at the weather that is 15 to half an hour delayed on your screen in the cockpit, you can also see what is actually happening at the same time that you don't see on the screen.
Oh, my
and
God.
That's how they get themselves in trouble because they think that at the timestamp on the display, it's when the weather was happening. But actually, it's a time of an upload of the data to your screen. So weather, by the time it gets to your screen, it's 15, 20, 30 minutes behind. A lot can happen with the weather.
That's an amazing thing you bring that up. I was in the hangar. What is today? Today is Wednesday. And on Monday, there was a massive rainstorm here in New England, down here in southern New England. And I have skylights in the hangar. And the guy that installed the skylights before me did a really shitty job. And I went up there with that spray-on seal stuff. I can't remember the name of it. And did a really good job. We thought we did a real good job. So I'm in there. And sure enough, the heavens opened up. And I've got a large screen TV hooked up to my computer in the hangar, and we had the weather pulled up. And sure enough, the convection, the image of where that convection wasn't yet on top of us by a long shot.
Yeah.
And here we are, mother buckets. I mean, it is roaring down. And you all know what it sounds like in a hangar when you're getting pissed on unbelievably. You could hardly think. And we were looking at each other going, how much a delay is that? And I'm thinking it's 20 minutes based on the direction, the speed.
That's most likely.
And that
pretty
was
much what
a hell of a lesson. My buddy Joe, his jaw dropped. He goes, oh, I never thought of that. I thought whenever you look at the weather, there it is. Now, that may be true for us looking in these systems with the exception of, and let me ask you about ADSB. And the
ADSB.
Yeah. When you get FSB, right? Flight Info Services and graphical weather on top, right? How recent is that?
I couldn't tell you, but I suspect that it is being processed also. Because the most recent, when you ask, let's say you call Control Tower and you ask for weather, they actually have the most recent, they actually have a radar a lot of times that they are looking at. But then that data is being fed, for example, to approach control, and they already have slightly delayed weather. And if that goes also to center is even more delayed. So then it's probably being processed and it's going to you because there is no any other way. I don't know exactly the technology, but my suspicion is that there is absolutely no way to feed that radar read directly to your cockpit.
So the cautionary tone here is beware that it's delayed by a lot. Half an hour.
Bottom line, the only reliable equipment
on board in
your cockpit will be on-board radar.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why people do it. And that's if the way the way technology is going, we'll have that in our iPhones by Christmas. I mean, my God, you just can you imagine a little time warp here? If you whip out one of these iPhones 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Would your jaw drop or what? Seriously?
I bet it would, yeah.
Holy mother of God. I mean, we have more information in these iPhones now than you could get for $100,000 10 years ago. Easy. And so anyway, technology keeps growing. But and so does the complexity of things. And it was funny because I was talking to somebody about, oh, my God, the Janus Air, the charter that I'm flying with, thinking about getting a couple more Barons and wanting to go with the new Dynon system. Ooh, let's talk about that. The new Dynon, the Skyview panel. Waka
Yes.
waka. You know about that?
Very little, to be honest with you, because I've been concentrating recently on our VMC clubs a lot, so
I can say it in
I
one
haven't
word.
been paying much attention.
Certificated.
to that.
Boom.
Yeah, that I know.
Boom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got your Dynon flat screens. You got your the DG. You got your tapes. You got everything there, and it's all certificated. So, you can get a couple of backup, DG, vacuum, whatever. But now you can go to flat screen, and the flipping thing's like $16,000. Huh? And a couple of grand to kick it in. Really? It's under $20,000? Oh my God.
I never forget.
Oh my God.
When I was looking years ago at this beautiful stock of two Garmin's 430
Which I wish I had in my
and
plane.
an audio panel.
Mm.
And they were advertising it for something like 30,000+.
That's my
And
point.
sold. So
That's my
now
point.
you can get them probably on eBay for just a few $1,000.
No, you can't. They're still asking for $5 or $6 grand.
Come on, but that's still nothing.
Yeah, I get it. But for me, I don't have it. And you got to throw it in there. Somebody's got to throw it in there, right? It's going to cost a couple of grand to install.
I still believe it's one of the best GPS equipment.
Oh, the 430?
out there. Yeah,
Without a doubt. I don't think anybody can argue that. I mean,
it has just enough information to.
gets the job done.
Today I had lunch, so I got myself one of those
had lunch?
EAA employee deals.
I didn't have that on the list of things to talk about. I had lunch.
And I'm sitting down, and that's what I love about those. It's an aviation Woodstock here. So people simply
Hey, is
we
pot
just
legal in
talk to
Wisconsin?
each other.
Is pot
don't
legal
know.
in Wisconsin?
I haven't checked that one yet.
Oh, we got to talk
know,
about that. Oh my God! Go ahead. So you're having lunch?
So
Smoking a
there's
doobie.
another couple. They say, "Can we join in?" Because everybody's looking for a table. And right away we start talking, and what do you fly, and this and that, and IMC club, and he says, I got older Cessna 172, 6-pack, and I just have a handheld GPS, and I'm happy with it. I love it. And then we got to talk about glass panels and how he, was looking at those at different airplanes and, all the tapes that are moving very quickly and drive everybody crazy because when you look at your altimeter, the old-fashioned analog altimeter, if you're 20 feet off from your altitude, what's the big deal? It's
Right.
nothing. And you're fine. And here, when you look at this tape and you're 5 feet off
You're way
altitude,
off. Yeah.
that drives you crazy. You try to get it back on, and then you actually have to exercise to desensitize the. I'm losing English.
That's easy for you to
but
say.
It's you don't have to. You should not, I should say, pay attention to all that. I wish somebody on the glass equipment would come up with kind of inertia to those, so they would not react so quickly and right away to any change.
Interesting thought, and I hope they're listening. And I think if I'm hoping that my friends at Garmin, Dynon, and Skyview and Freeflight, are listening and start paying attention, because the reality is the reality is, it gets bumpy up there. And like this morning, I'm only flying to Long Island. It's not, and we were only at 35. We were not, very far off the ground, and it was choppy as all get out. And here I am with a pencil, And here, my mate was trying to finger scratch on the iPad, and it looked like an MC Escher. All he was trying to do was write down the freaks, and it was very funny because it was, and I'm saying, so where do you put your fingers when you're, going to scratch onto the pad? And it was just very interesting because there wasn't an obvious handhold. And I know in some of the systems they do give you a ridge, and in the Garmin, there's framed, so your fingers can lie along the border of the device itself and steady your hand. So yeah, there's a lot to do, a lot to say about that.
So, bottom line that, all that glass, we love it, including myself. I love gadgets, but it may not necessarily be good for everybody. Let's put it this way.
And later in the day, I'm talking to a friend of mine. It's really cool. He's got a Ford Model T as a tug. It's awesome. You can always hear this thing start up, and it farts and backfires and does all sorts of things when it starts up, and he always cracks up when you see him move his glass hair in and out. And we was talking about how, because I talked about the Dynon system, and he was like, I don't know. He goes, I've had this 430, and I'm still having a bitch of a time learning how to use it. I've had it for years. It shouldn't take that long. But some people, right? Some people, you just don't make that transition. This guy, he's in his 70s. He's got analog tattooed on his heart. How are you going to convert to digital? And
there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think we do make a big mistake that we do not, how you say it, we should still keep the analog. We cannot move altogether to digital. I think it's a big mistake.
Do you need it just because it's there? Do you need it just because it's available? Do you need it? And that's the big decision to make. And this fellow I was talking about he's been flying for 50 years. He's got a glass air, one of the fastest, slipperiest things on the planet. He goes back and forth on 2-hour flights every week, in and out of IMC. And he goes, I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's great. I do fine. I got 2 VORs. I do fine. Yeah. That's how he learned. And, he's proficient at it. So what do you say? All right. If you're happy, you're happy.
Yeah, speaking of nice, fast airplanes, when I was in Northampton years ago, we had somebody come in with a Yak. Have you seen Yak before?
Dude, you haven't seen the video of me in a Yak doing maneuvers. A few years ago, I made friends with a guy who came up from the south, and we took off in this Chinese Yak, and of course the pedals are backwards, right? Because the prop spins the other way. The torque goes in the other direction. And this thing, not only, it was amazing because my wife and her family were on State Beach, and I texted her, said, do you see that airplane doing loops? And she said, yeah, he's an idiot. I go, you mean your husband's an idiot? And she goes, stop that. So here I am texting. I got the stick between my knees, and I'm texting, and it's hysterical. And the guy's going, are you texting your wife? I said, yeah. He goes, you're really good with your knees. Because you could get the stick, you could hold the stick between your knees. And it was hysterical because we're doing Enelmans, loops, barrel rolls. I mean, it was amazing.
Never had a chance to fly that one. But when this guy was taking off, I know maybe it was 2000 overcast, with this little blue hole right above the airport. He took off. It was, what did we have there? 3,500 feet of runway, something in that range. He took off 1/3 of the runway, and he was almost vertical.
Went straight up,
straight in that hole, and then he disappeared. He went VFR.
That's
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
yeah, they are. Matter of fact, I was in Jamaica years ago on a commercial, and we got held up for the weather, and we're sitting there on the tarmac for I don't know how long. He finally goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to tighten your seatbelts. Those of you on the right side of the aircraft, please look up, and you'll see at about 1 o'clock up there. There's a blue hole. That's where we're going." And he pulled off, and I've never been in a commercial jet and been so with the nose so high in my life ever. This sucker was screaming. I mean, we were just going north. It was amazing, and I guess we did. I guess we got through there. So yeah. So for those of you that have never seen a Yak, they're really interesting aircraft. Russian and China. They're they started in 45, right? So they've been, I don't know how many of them. They call them CJ5s. I don't know how many.
And they
were
actually
made.
they kind of convert them. They put regular gauges in it because the one that I'm talking about was from Russia, and he purchased it officially from some company which does those things. So some labels were still in Cyrillic.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But he did have regular altimeter with feet and not meters. And what else? They changed that. Airspeed, I think, stayed original, and there was something else that they replaced. But and they basically polished them and paint them and beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
They're amazing. Bushi Chang and Nanchang. You guys may know the CJ6 or 6A. Nanchang, the Yak 18, the original 18s. There's not a lot of them, but yeah, and they're pneumatic. Everything's pneumatic. Psh, psh. Yeah, well, letting the gear down, and everything is pneumatic. And he was joking about, if the gear don't go down, you got to pump, you got to air pump the thing down. Yeah. But that was amazing, hearing all the air. And in my YouTube video, which I have on aviationisland.info, you'll find the video of me in this Yak, and we mowed the lawn at Katama, coming down 2-1. I swear to God, we mowed the flipping lawn because I got my iPhone, my GoPro facing backwards, and it's looking at my face over the tail, and sure enough, there was just nothing but grass and dust behind us. And you hear over the horn, you hear Mike Creato, the airport manager at the time, cursing at the guy. What are you doing? Anyway, had to dress the prop afterwards. But anyway, it was a real fun thing. But well, that's pretty cool. Hey man, what else is going on at Oshkosh AirVenture 2017, mother?
A lot, and you do realize that I'm actually sacrificing
this time.
Being here because there are still things going on.
Drunken debauchery.
Day,
I know. I've been there. All your corporate meetings, you EAA guys. I know what happens in that building at night.
So we did have, as I told you before the show, we had a few friends from China stopping by our booth.
Yeah, tell me about China.
And there is actually they were fluent in English and very fluent.
By now they own the English language.
True. So there's good potential that we may have a EA chapter there and IMC club chapter and so on. But another funny story, speaking of international, another guy came in and, he introduced himself as Robert, and we are talking.
Yes.
He is from Nashua, New Hampshire, very strong IMC club chapter. He tells me how he absolutely loves it, that he goes to every single meeting, and
Robert,
he really likes that fact that, it's kind of, it's not strictly learning, but also there is a social aspect to it, camaraderie, people getting together and just enjoying, this discussion. And I noticed that his last name is kind of Polish ending. So I say, but where are you from originally? He said, I'm from Poland. And how long ago did you come over to US? He said, 6 years ago. And I say, so why do we speak English to each other? He says, I don't know.
That must have been very funny. That must have been...
yeah, it was, and then we switched to Polish, and
that must have been very. Was that comfortable, and was it a relief to speak your native tongue?
Actually, there was no difference. I mean,
wow. Okay.
I didn't, and to be honest with you, on a few occasions, my brain kicked back to English.
I'm sure by now you're used to it. Yeah.
Polish, because if you are among people who speak same language, so if I'm in Poland, by the way, I will be going there in a few weeks.
Oh, good.
Then I have no problems. I'm not going to kick back to English. But when you are speaking English all day long, and then somebody shows up and suddenly, there's Polish, it actually even sounds weird. Believe it or not, you say something in different language and kind of you hear yourself, and it feels weird.
Years ago, I knew a girl named Crystal who was fluent in a half a dozen languages, and Italian, French, German, and she was studying Japanese and some of the Asian, the Middle, Far East languages. I asked her, "What are you dreaming?" And her answer was, "It depends. It depends what the experience of the day was."
True.
If you're,
it's true. I always admire people who can translate. Just by listening and speaking that other language. Believe it or not, my father could translate from French to German when Polish was his native language.
Wow, that's heavy. That shows you, the necessity being where you are, and in dealing with business or with other cultures.
I couldn't translate from English to Polish, even though I speak both.
Really?
I cannot. I mean, I can. Yes, I can.
Well, that's the last time I ask you to translate for me. Thanks for nothing, pal. All right.
Just use Google.
Well, we'll move on to that. Hey, what else is going on? I mean, we got, speaking of old airplanes, besides the Yak-18, the CNJ convention, the Texans, there's 40 of them at Oshkosh this year.
Yeah.
40. Holy mother of God.
I'll be totally honest, I didn't have time to venture in that direction yet myself.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. At AirVenture, ha, ha, ha. They have a tram.
I usually do it on Friday. So.
Well, what's really cool, and they have a tram now, which is a tour of the Warbirds. And that's brilliant. So for those of you who have been at a big air show, you know that it takes a long time to walk around these areas, and anybody who's actually been to one and wants to seriously investigate the different areas, you do need to be there for days. You do not. Yeah, you absolutely. Do not do Oshkosh or Sun and Fun for that matter in one day. Although Sun and Fun is much smaller, but 40.
Sun and Fun you can do in 2 days, but
right.
Oshkosh there is absolutely no way.
You've got there are offsite events as well, but 40 CNJs. I mean, there were. Can you imagine? There were 15,500 of them made.
Yeah. Speaking of number of airplanes, somebody just tweeted, and I bet it went very well with serious pilots. Somebody just tweeted picture with title Cirrus aircrafts arriving at AirVenture, and there is this whole bunch, 25 or 30 Cirruses with parachutes deployed, and they all.
That's very funny.
But I know some Cirrus pilots are very sensitive, so I'm not sure how.
Yes, they are. You know about that guy in Nantucket years ago, right?
Yeah.
There was somebody who they pulled the chute, and it was not really as bad as people would think that it could have been to pull the chute, but he did. Anyway, so much for that. Yeah, that's very funny. That is very funny. Oh God, I could say some jokes, but I'd probably lose a lot of fans.
Actually, I was going to retweet it, but then I was thinking I do know a lot of serious pilots, so
Yeah, it's better to leave that one alone. So Fifi and Doc are there. Two
yeah.
unbelievable 2B29s.
And for the first time in history, from you know, and they flew together,
which is just freakingly amazing. Years ago, when I did Flying High Coffee, one of my grooms at my wedding, Eddie Hayes, who's a lifelong commercial pilot, was involved with Fifi, and called me as I was leaving Osh and told me if I ran down to the other airport, I could jump in and get a seat for a tour, for a flight. Didn't happen. It, along with everything else Flying High Coffee, didn't happen. That was a shame. That was too bad. That's the closest I came to getting in a B-29. Have you been in? Have you been in a B-29?
No.
Well, it's amazing to get up and just. Of course, I've been walked around Fifi.
Unfortunately for me, when some people say, "Oh, you actually get to be there every single year," I get a free weekly
working
pass here.
You're working,
but I show up there 7:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I am there somewhere with the presenting in a booth or, meeting with some other people. And then 5:30 comes in and I'm tired. So
for those of us in the industry that work the shows, the trade shows, people really don't understand how hard we're working, how difficult it is to stand on your feet in one spot all day. You at least get to go around and do a little bit of walking. Although, let me ask, your booth, is your booth tied to the, whereabouts is your, if people want to come see you?
It's in the membership center. So we are together, it's IMC, VMC Club, and chapters. So we're all together in the 8 chapters in one spot. And also what I was going to say that, we work hard during the show, but at the same time, when the show is over, we take a little break, and believe it or not, we start working on next year's show right away.
You have to. You're taking note of the things that need to be addressed, and this is absolutely the time to do it. You're absolutely right.
It does. It's a huge. It's a humongous, project.
Listen, I don't know how much we've talked about my previous life. I was in the motorsport industry, and I worked in helmets and invented a safety product in motorcycle helmets. So we provided for AGV, Shoei, Arai, Simpson, Stan 21. I mean, you name the helmet. Anyway, the point is, we did 14 trade shows and 21 races every year, 21, 25 races all through Europe and the Americas, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, I was away 3 weeks out of every month. Come Speed Weeks in Daytona, I mean, from Bike Week through to the Daytona 5, it was amazing. I mean, circle track, flat track, dirt modified asphalt, motorcycle, road racing, dirt bike. I mean, so anyway, my point being, I was involved in so many aspects of it. As we started to get proficient at our markets and expand the products, we would literally be making deals for the next year on where to be, placements, marketing, promotions, right? So yeah, you actually do that. And at Oshkosh, it's interesting. Let me ask you, what do you think from the 10,000-foot view? How's our population? Are we healthy? Are we growing? Do you see kids?
Oh,
quite a segue, huh?
Kind of difficult to. I would like to say that we see more younger people, but then I have to say that I would like to see more.
More
Let's
kids.
put it this way.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Well, I will
Because
match that. Go ahead.
We're aging. As a general aviation population,
I'm not getting older.
we are aging. So
Maybe
it's
you're aging. Me? I'm just eye candy. I keep it looking better.
Okay. And people don't have the visual on you, so
I'm a damn good-looking mother. Yeah, shut your mouth. You're absolutely right. Now, first and foremost, I got to tell you, when I first went to Sun and Fun and I did my documentary on the tornado, I interviewed the kids from the high school. And I'm friends with a couple of them still to this day, some 7 years later. And it's really remarkable because one of the first things that I noticed when I was out there was that I looked out over the tarmac and saw nothing but gray hair. And I turned to somebody and I said, we're screwed. I can't believe it. I'm finally getting into aviation and it's dying right in front of me. Well, 7 years later, I'm at the Sun and Fun Radio looking out over the deck and watching wave after wave of kids all show. So I will say that they do have the aviation high school right there on campus. I'll grant you that. And they did purposefully bring kids in from other engineering schools. They bust them in purposefully. I get that. But you could see the girls, the guys, the teenagers, and they were pilots, engineers, studying aviation. Brilliant.
And that's
Just
great,
brilliant.
but statistically, it's still not enough.
So what do you do?
When you look over statistics, it's still the average age of a pilot, general aviation pilot, is going up. So what do you do? I mean, programs like Young Eagles, EAA, we're very proud of this.
Yes. As he grimaces, yes.
Yeah, but, you have to do something. But at the same time, unless we change the entire system, we're not going to save it. I'm sorry, but that's my view on it. We are not making it easy. We are making it more and more difficult to get a pilot license, to get aviation job. We basically have a system that doesn't make sense. And actually, I had another good article, and IMC Advisor, I think, 2 editions before. So that would have been, I think, April, where I basically say that, we have to do something with it. And we are not willing to admit where the real problem is. So we are creating, how can anybody, you have 1,500 hours minimum to get an airline job. How can you expect anybody to accumulate so much time and then work for $25,000 a year?
Literally that conversation today. I'm in the Baron on a flight, earning time, and we're talking about how long it's going to take. We did, there's been some discussion over the current rates, the pay scale is going up a bit, which is nice. But you're absolutely right. They put that bar so high. And how do you do it? I mean, you got to dedicate a lot of time somewhere, and how are you going to afford it? I mean, how many people, I got really lucky, how many people are going to offer, here, just, let's start burning time in the right seat. And I have the time, a couple of days a week. You're right. Now, I'm really grateful for this conversation. And what I'm hoping is that you can help us by inspiring more people to get this conversation going. I mean, it started. There are people who are talking about it. There are people who are doing things about it. But we need hundreds of ideas. We need hundreds of people going in hundreds of directions to see which ones fit.
I wrote an article on the same subject, maybe 4 years ago. Oh. And I was flooded with emails saying, I agree with you. Finally somebody said it. And nothing ever happened. I literally appealed to organizations at the time like AOPA and others. Let's get together. Let's do something. Nothing happened. So I wrote that article again. I pretty much renewed my appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nothing
happens. And we're not going to do it because we are going against something that is too big and too strong and too rooted.
Yes. The old school has made it really hard, and the vision has to change. But my recommendation is to look to Peggy and Mirai. Peggy Chabran, Dr. Peggy, and Mirai Goyer from Women of Aviation International, and Women Venture right now, Women in Aviation. Look at what they're doing by inspiring women to get involved in the aviation sciences. Emulate that, the outreach, the participation, the clicks, in a good way, the groups, the chat rooms, or we don't have chat rooms anymore, but the discussions that are having, and at schools, the engineering departments and the flying clubs where they're reaching out to women, they're going out after them and offering these things to them. So that's my recommendation. I worked with Mirai for a while, doing what I could to see if I could help inspire. And I would have, I'd still be glad to help Peggy, because I look at women in aviation, and where the women go, the men will go. It's a team effort. It's a social thing, and it's been a male-dominated industry, and there's been all sorts of flack because of that. But over the last few years, there's been a turn, and you look at the Women Venture. It's amazing how many people are there, and it's amazing what they're doing. So my recommendation to you, Radek, absolutely go make friends with Peggy and ask Peggy why she pulled the Kings away from me at the back deck at Sun and Fun.
Definitely will do that.
I mean, Martha came up with a hearty hello, and it was just hi, and we started talking, and then Peggy pulled him right away. But anyway, I don't know why she did that. Anyway, Peggy and John, Martha and John, hey, it was great to see you. It was great to meet you, and I hope to talk to you guys more at length as the days roll on. But that would be my recommendation. I reach out to everybody within the sound of my voice to go ahead and point your daughters and your loved ones, the women in your life who are looking for exciting, fulfilling, responsible, and creative positions to look in the aviation sciences. And I can tell you I am the proud father of a son who works for BAE Systems and involved with Black Hawk Helicopter. So, there's a lot of goodness there. This is probably a good time for a quick break. Radek, we'll just to let people know. Oh, by the way, I just want people know Freeflight Systems, one of our sponsors. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support, of course, and Bose headsets. Really, guys, it's tremendous to get the support from you guys, and really appreciate the energy of helping growing and sustain the business. Of course, Freeflight coming out with their Ranger system, among others, helping you to get an ADSB really inexpensively. So reach out to Freeflight Systems and to Bose. So we're just going to get a brief interstitial here. So Radek, we'll be back in just a second.
Welcome to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plane Talk are of the host, its guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or IMC Club International.
Yeah, when it comes to callers, we're gonna have to start that up again, Rad. I really like that idea.
Yeah, once we figure out technology.
That'll make you laugh. It's been a while since we did a podcast, and of course I get my computer up and going, and I haven't gotten this PC up. Thank goodness I got in here early, because of course I turned that thing on. It spent the next hour updating. And thank Lord I got in here early because all these things need to get updated, and so I had to rig things back up. But I think things are working out okay. But yeah, we're back, and one more time for Freeflight and Bose. Thank you all very much for your support. Truly appreciate that kind of support with the IMC Club. Yeah, so we don't have much time left, and so while we have Radek with us. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I mean, have you seen the Switchblade, the Samsung Switchblade?
The who? What?
It's a flying car. Terrafugia
No.
isn't the only one, but the Switchblade is a gyrocopter, which is a vehicle, and it's been amazing how this thing has been in development forever, and they finally got it. So it's on the grounds, and
I'm not really very strong believer in flying contraptions like that because I think it's really nothing new that we're developing. We are just making fusion in between existing things. So, remember Terrafugia?
Do I remember them? They're a Cambridge-based company. Yeah, I've been in the damn thing.
But for me, it was simply car with wings. Right. It wasn't a flying car. It was car with wings, or an airplane with fuselage that looks like a car.
There's no way in the world I would drive that thing on the street and just to get a bump or a scrape or something like that and not be able to fly away. But but really do look at the applications for military and industry and things like that. But anyway, so much for that. Anything else on your mind? I know you got to go.
Absolutely. I don't know. Are you familiar with this
Icarus
company? Yeah.
No, do explain what Icarus is.
Okay, friend of mine, Nick, he's an inventor. So what he did, he has a prototype at this point of those faggles that not only, you can flip a switch and from VMC you can go to IMC, but you can also, as you can probably see this on this iPhone app. You can set up your faggles to 1 mile visibility, 2 mile visibility. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
So in training, you don't have to take your faggles off as you are breaking out. Your instructor can simply flip the switch and say, okay, we're out of the clouds, but then they can set it up. We're out of the clouds and have 3 mile visibility.
Oh, my God. Just imagine the implications. I want one. Ooh, tell them to give me a call.
So,
tell them to give me a call. Hey, I'm working on my instrument. I'm the guy. I'm your guy.
I definitely will because he is, it's in a beta testing. So he definitely, I'm sure he would send you one just to, for you to test it.
Well, that for all of us that are in training, exactly what Radek is talking about. And it is, we all long to practice in real IMC, but don't get the opportunity to do it very often. And having something like that is brilliant. Love that idea. So,
and he's also working on visors for helicopter pilots for their helmets, for military, and they're basically implementations are endless.
Where can they find more information?
Okay, at this point, the only thing that we can disclose is the company name again.
Okay.
Icarus.
ICARUS.
Yep. And if anybody wants to have more information on that, they would have to contact one of us.
Okay. And how can they do that? How can they reach Radek Vizikowski?
Okay, that's very easy. It's Romeo Alpha Delta Echo Kilo at EAA.org. Once I was spelling my email to some guy in technical support. I forgot which company. And I said, I'm going to spell it for you, Romeo, Alpha. And then he stops me and says, how do you spell Romeo?
Yeah. Yep. There you go. I get it. That's very funny. Well, cool. That's a great idea. I appreciate that. Anything else? Anything else that?
Nothing that I can think of. To be honest with you, I'm kind of ready to lie flat.
Okay.
Put my feet up, because tomorrow morning, 5:45, my alarm clock is going to ring.
5:45.
And again,
well,
I have to be there in the morning.
Well, I just I'm so glad that we were able to spend some time together again, and this was great fun. Thank you very much, Radek Fiskowski, President and Grand Poobah of the IMC Club, IMC VMC Club, part of EAA, and they can reach you one more time. How can people reach you for questions, ideas, and donations?
Formerly president, because now I'm just manager of flight proficiency with EAA.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Let's not forget that part.
Thank you. The former and now the current manager of flight proficiency.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Both of us, I guess, I don't even know what time it is, but it feels like it is late. So.
Yeah, it's getting late over here too. So that's wonderful. And how can people reach you?
Romeo Alpha Delta Echo Kilo at EAA.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I want to thank Janice Air. I want to thank Bose. And, of course, I want to thank Freeflight Systems. You guys really do appreciate everything. It's interesting. We have a ways to go here. There's a lot of things changing in our environment. There's a lot of change happening in aviation. And I hope we get to play a larger role with it and its growth and current and continued health and success. So, Radek, anybody you want to say shout out to before we go?
Everybody, all my friends, all my volunteers, all EA volunteers, and everybody who is participating in this wonderful venture called AirVenture.
Well, that's awesome, and I really appreciate it. And good luck to you. Give me a shout. Let me know what happens a little later in the week. I'll catch up with you. So, on behalf of Radek Fiskowski and John Roberts, hey, John, everybody, hey, John's out there playing music somewhere.
John, yep.
We wish him well, and we'll see you next time. Howie out.